Noel Grealish.
Taoiseach, following the announcement made last Friday regarding the proposed ring road for Galway City, where on board Pleanala have now stated that they will not contest the judicial review of this project, this is absolutely devastating news for the people of Galway. Some national media outlets are reporting that this project is now dead in the water. I know that this project is still before the courts and a judge has to determine that, and I think it's important that we do respect the judicial process. But Taoiseach, the reason why I'm bringing this up today here in the Dáil is why does it take so long for a project of this magnitude to get through the whole planning process? As I stated here in the Dáil previously, I was elected to Galway County Council in June 1999, and the first project that was before us at that time was to provide a Galway City outer bypass, as it was called in. A total of €14.7 million was spent on the plan for the initial city outer bypass before the project was abandoned after a European Court ruling in 2013. 2 years after that, Arab were appointed to come up with this new proposal, which was called the N6 Galway City Ring Road. The outlay to date on the current Galway City Ring Road project is more than €21.3 million, which means more than €35 million has been so far spent on finding a solution that seems no closer now than it ever was. Technically, we are now back to square one again after 23 years. Taoiseach, you were in Galway yourself last Friday on a number of engagements, and you heard of the importance of the road for inward investment, and I was at one of them functions when it was mentioned in the speeches, and you saw at first hand yourself the chronic traffic situation that we, the people of Galway, both city and county, find ourselves dealing with on a daily basis. Taoiseach, what I want to raise with you here today is, why does it take so long for these major infrastructure projects to get through the planning process? And Taoiseach, I think on board Pleanala have serious questions to answer as to why that they have stated publicly that they did not consider the new climate action plan that was passed before this decision was made. The people of Galway are now going to have to endure chronic traffic congestion for many years to come while we try and find a solution to the traffic situation in Galway. Taoiseach, my question to you is, after 23 years and €35 million spent, what comfort can you give the people of Galway that this never-ending saga can be brought to an end?
Thank you for raising this issue, and I understand the genuine disappointment with the latest developments in this project, and I know, having been in Galway on Friday, where all the engagements were positive engagements in terms of the economic development of Galway, in terms of the Genesis expansion, in terms of the Galway Technology Centre expansion, and then the launch of the Irish Clinical Academic Training Programme, all very positive. But that ring road and the N6 Galway City Ring Road, as many see it, as essential in terms of the growth and development of Galway. Others disagree, but with the current volume of vehicles on the existing network, Galway is, and I've experienced it myself, suffering from extreme congestion in the city centre and increased journey times. It has the potential, the ring road, to reroute traffic from the city and to alleviate capacity constraints. Now, Galway City and County Councils issued a joint statement with the TII on Friday, outlining that they are confident that the issues arising can be resolved, and as a result intend to continue to progress the delivery of the road project. The Galway City Ring Road is a proposed project to construct an orbital route around Galway from the N6 to the west of Barna, including a new bridge crossing of the river Corrib. And this proposed project is a component of the Galway Transport Strategy. The scheme was submitted to Board Pleanala, who approved the scheme with conditions on December 6, 2021. Subsequently, 3 applications for judicial reviews were submitted to the High Court, who imposed a stay on progressing the scheme. Board Pleanala has taken the decision not to oppose the judicial review, which was taken by Friends of the Irish Environment against the decision to grant planning permission for the Galway City Ring Road. The decision lies with the High Court on whether to grant an order to quash the decision of the Board on the 6th of December 2021. On Board Pleanala stated that they have taken this decision on the grounds that they didn't consider the Government's 2021 Climate Action Plan before making the decision to grant permission. The next step will be for all parties to consider their positions in light of this development. There will then be an opportunity to request that the High Court remit the scheme back to An Bord Pleanala. Should the scheme be remitted to An Bord Pleanala, the Board will consider whether further information is required to aid their deliberations. In relation to the review of planning legislation, that review is progressing in line with the timeline set out by the Office of the Attorney-General, who is leading on the project, and there is extensive engagement with the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage on it. The work of the review is now moving to the drafting stage. A bill is expected to be brought to Government, published by the end of the year. It would be premature to comment on any potential outcomes of the review until it is complete, but one of its key aims will be to put plan making at the centre of the planning system. It will also focus on bringing increased clarity and streamlining to planning legislation and improving the functioning of the planning system for both practitioners and the general public, and that it is given that it is 20 years since its enactment. Public participation, which is a hallmark of the current planning system, will remain a central component of the planning system in the updated legislation.
Taoiseach, when the current N6 Galway Ring Road was first published back in 2015, 54 houses were proposed to be demolished or bought out to facilitate the project if it got the go-ahead. These are 54 families who, for the past 7.5 years, are prisoners in their homes. They cannot sell the property, as who would buy a house where there's a proposal to demolish it? There's little point in spending money on improvements. They were told to just sit and wait for 7.5 years. Over the last few years, I have met with many of these families who wanted to downsize, but they just could not sell. Taoiseach, any new planning laws that are brought forward to fast-track major infrastructural projects must take into account family homes that are to be demolished for such a project. People cannot be left in limbo for years on end. Taoiseach, if new planning laws are brought forward, will it include provisions to ensure that homeowners that will be directly affected by any major infrastructural projects will not be prisoners in their houses for years and years while it goes through the planning process?
Difficult, and I think the agencies involved have to be very conscious of and that's across the board. All state agencies need to be very conscious of the predicament that families find themselves in, or people find themselves in, when someone makes a declaration that your house is going to be CPO'd or taken over, because it does cause genuine stress and anxiety, and also it can put people into a state of limbo for many, many years, not in a position to do anything, and that's not satisfactory. The wider issue is the need to streamline our planning. I mean, day after day, people talk about the crisis in housing, the crisis in terms of getting infrastructural projects through. The public transport system takes an inordinately long length of time to get railway orders and all of that. You look at offshore wind will be the next big agenda. We're in the middle of an energy crisis. We're trying to get out of fossil fuels as quickly as we can or reduce our dependency. The only effective way of reducing dependency on fossil fuels is offshore wind, on top of the onshore wind we've done. And that's the only way we can do it. And yet, I predict, at the moment, Europe are saying it takes an average of 8 years from concept to the wind farm being in position. Now, there has to be an overall public good that triumphs all of our own individual perspectives and considerations. And that's where we haven't achieved consensus in this House, or indeed in society more generally, if we're honest.